detective. Thrill me.
Good evening, all. To quote this week's hero, dead or alive, you're coming with us. To tonight's film, 1987's Robocop. The band's back together. Gibbo, good to see you after a couple of weeks layoff.
Yep. I'm not very reliable. Let's get down to that.
I think you've just started picking it on your movies. Not interested.
Mate. I'm busy.
Sorry, guys. I'm not going to be around for that one.
Look, I'd love to.
I listened to you boys talk about it, and I'm not sad that I missed it.
Before we get into it, let's hit what we've watched. Garrett?
Yep. Okay, so I finished American Vandal. Look, the jokes sort of wore off in the middle, but it actually did a really good job of taking the piss out of some of those programs. And in the end, you kind of got this, you kind of wanted to get down to find out what happened. And there was a couple of parts that probably went too far into a little bit sort of sad, low, like, I don't know. It just, it went off a little bit towards the end, but I enjoyed it overall. I saw the Lego Ninjago movie.
How was that?
Yeah, it was all right.
As expected.
It's probably the lowest of the three. I kind of like them in order. I like it. Lego Movie best, Lego Batman next, and then this one. But more of the same. You kind of get what you expected. I watched Batman and Harley Quinn, which was the new DC animated one, which I was pretty thrilled with because it seemed to sort of continue on from the Batman animated series. It had Bruce Timm back involved and had a lot of the characters reappearing, which was cool, and I quite enjoyed that one. Now, I reacquainted myself again with our old friend Dolph, and I watched Don't Kill It.
Look, I heard good things.
No, you didn't.
Someone lied to you.
I misheard.
Look, it was better than what was the other one I watched? Larceny. It was better than Larceny. Larceny was a shocker. Don't Kill It was It was okay. It was better than Larceny. I got more enjoyment out of it, more competently handled, decent idea behind it. No. It's a little bit of a comedy element, but it's not all that funny. So it's don't rush out and watch it. But the biggest thing I discovered out of it is that Dolph seems to have his own sort of Sven Ole Thorsen to Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's some character called James Chalk that keeps popping up in Dolph movies, and they appear to be buddies.
What a wagon to hit yourself to. You know who's going places now? Dolph Lundgren. I'm getting on that.
Well, Dolph Lundgren is, mate. He's on Arrow.
Yeah, man.
He's in Aquaman.
Yes.
The only way is up. If Chalk shows up in Aquaman, there's real issues.
I'll keep an eye out for him in Arrow.
He tried to negotiate the deal on the Aquaman.
Nah, sorry.
No.
Dolph said, you just wait outside. I need this.
Yeah, listen, Chalky. Just tell me outside. That will be right.
I knocked over I'm finishing the second season of Bates Motel.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's got some really good acting performances in it, which I think is probably the best thing about it. But they kind of go this really interesting route of that it's in modern day, but, you know, Norman and his mum sort of dress similar to how they did in the older films. Their house looks like it. They sort of, a lot of the setting, you mistake it for one of those old, for being in that time period until someone pulls out their mobile phone and starts talking on it or something like that. So they kind of straddle both periods, which is kind of cool, but the acting's really great. Vera Farmiga's she has some great stuff where parts of it you feel sort of heartbroken for the way she's treated, and then she fucking flies off the handle and you're just like, this woman is a fucking lunatic. She's really good. She's just back and forth balancing it really well.
It's weird that she never did more, because everything I've seen her in, I've really liked her in.
She's great. And the one that plays Norman is actually Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I didn't realise that until I started watching it, but he's really good as well. So
I think
worth your time.
She's got plenty on the resume. She's just a good character.
She's done a lot of indie stuff too, and
that's what people forget.
But when she's, I think the one with George Clooney, Up in the Air.
Yeah, that was excellent.
That was good. She's in
Conjuring films.
Yeah, but what's the one with Leo and Jack Nicholson, the gangster one? Yeah, Departed.
Yep.
She's really good in that. It's just, I don't know, because she's pretty and she's obviously a really good actor. I don't know, it's just weird one that she's never really got a big role somewhere.
Yeah, no, she's really good in this. So I really enjoyed it, actually. They throw in a really interesting dynamic too of introducing Norman's brother, and it actually works. It's kind of cool. I watched Tommy, which was the 30 for 30 about Tommy Morrison.
I thought you were saying you watched Tommy Boy.
Fuck. No, that's next week. I was actually disappointed because the problem for me is the bloke really turned out to be extremely unlikable, and it was just a story of wasted talent. And he would win a boxing match and then he'd just fucking fail to train and get beaten in the next one. So it was sort of wasted potential, but he was a bit of a jerk at times too. Yeah. And then it's got kind of tragic when he got HIV, but then he was a HIV denier. So he stopped taking essentially the guy could still be alive. So it was sad in that sense, but it was, I don't know, it just kind of missed the mark a little bit for me. I found it interesting because the whole sort of Rocky connection, but I just sort of went deep enough, but I didn't like the angle that they took. I think they tried to sort of lionise him a little bit in parts, and I just thought the bloke's a bit of a jerk. He should have just delved into his kind of promiscuous activities and how he ended up the way he did. And I mean, it's come out since then that he possibly knew he had HIV since 1989 and was boxing with it. So the guy had
pretty irresponsible,
questionable morals. And so, the last one I watched was What We Do in the Shadows. Actually, no, sorry. I saw Happy Death Day, which I'll jump in a little bit when you talk about it, because I believe you saw that too. But I watched What We Do in the Shadows. So the Kiwis, mate, they know how to make a good movie. They're very entertaining. And I think it's the guy that's directing Thor Ragnarok, isn't it? The guy that played Viago and directed this one is directing Thor Ragnarok. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the trailer for that looks interesting.
Pretty good.
Very different to the previous two, I'd say. Yeah.
I just caught a small glimpse of him and Hulk talking after they fought or whatever, and he goes, "Did we have a fight?" And he goes, "Yes." Did I beat you? No, I won comfortably.
They're definitely going comedy out.
I love when Hulk rolls out though, and he's like, "Yes," and then he turns around, he's like, "We know each other from work." Piss funny, but yeah, that was good.
Goldblum's in, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in it.
Is he really? Yeah. Goldblum sighting.
Isn't he dead?
Big question, has he got his shirt unbuttoned at least down to his belly button?
No,
that's important.
He's wearing one of those weird,
Well, that's not Goldblum. No, not good enough, thanks.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's you? Okay, you go.
Okay, very strange lineup for me because I just decided to watch a few things that were just on Stan and just stuff I had in my list just because they looked interesting from
Sorry, Adam,
reasons.
You can't watch them.
What, Stan?
Not until you jump on board, mate.
Stan
Get on board the train.
I mixed it up a bit.
I can't do it.
You have to.
Look,
as Jared said, they're starting to put some good stuff on there.
As soon as I get a movie for this podcast, I'll be on Stan.
Put it this way, you've probably spent about $50 on iTunes. That's 5 months of Stan, mate.
No, mate, I've been
delving
into the depths of YouTube for all sorts of weird
Yeah, see, that's a terrible mistake. Anyway, so I had this movie in just because I like Blake Lively, so I watched a movie called Age of Adeline.
Oh, has that got Harrison Ford too? Is he in it?
Yes, yes. Not a huge role. He's in it sort of for parts of it, but...
Is that kind of time travel involved in that?
Not time travel, no. It's the science of it is the big issue.
Right.
Because how they explain what happens, something happens at the start and then something happens at the end. And the explanation for how both of those happen is fucking ridiculous.
Right.
Everything else in there is really interesting.
Okay.
And everyone that's in it does a really good job and stuff like that. It's just those two bits, you just can't swallow them. It's shit for that reason. Like, the movie's actually really good, but those two bits ruin it. Okay. So, yeah, if you didn't watch the start and you watch it... it's a little bit like Benjamin Button-y.
Oh, yeah.
But... Yeah, it's worth... No, it's not shit. I like the movie. I really liked it. It's just those two bits, you just like, fuck off.
Right.
And it's a bit of a bummer.
And some of it.
Yeah, but like all the performances are really good. It's got the guy that ends up... He's in... Oh, you wouldn't know this either, but in Game of Thrones, he took over as Dario.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's in it, and he does a really good job. Blake Lively's really good. Harrison Ford's good. And like I said, the premise is really cool. They just... The way they explain it with there's a voiceover guy that is like telling the story. You never... Yeah. It's just a weird way to do it, but cool movie. I watched a movie called Solace, which is...
Anthony Hopkins
and Colin Farrell, yeah. Again, you think it's just like a crime thing, but then it gets like a little bit supernaturally.
Any good?
Yeah, it's worth a look. Like, it's cool. It's got like a kind of a Seven meets maybe like Silence of the Lambs. Well, obviously because of Hopkins, but it has that sort of vibe about it. But it was pretty cool. smashed out a bunch of black sails. I'm still slugging through that. This season,
Plugging away.
it's actually improved it quite a bit.
Mate, they've been on.
Still sailing the whole
They've been on shorter journeys than you've been on.
I don't know how they've got the budget they've got, because it's clearly like the production values are massive. Like the sets, everything, it's really beautiful, really well done. I just don't know where they got the money from. Like someone must have gone, this is going to be the next big thing, and I don't know if they're going to be able to keep going with it.
Everyone's looking for their Game of Thrones one.
Yeah, well, it's definitely got a bit of that. The writing's just not there for it. Like it's better this season. It'll never get to that level though, and I don't know, but I actually like it now, so it's been worth doing. Along the first season was worth it, put it that way for now. So along the same lines, I watched Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales with the young bloke, and fuck off, everybody, just get away from me. The amount of money they've wasted on that shit now is just.
It's like
exactly like
Transformers.
It's exactly
they make big money and know they're going to make money.
See, I actually didn't hate this one. I watched it and I was just like, meh. I wasn't raving, but I was like, meh.
No, they shouldn't make money, but their brand. It's like to me, it's like the Fast and the Furious films. Like I sit there and I go,
they're stupid, but at least they're
watching this.
But they're more entertaining. This is just noise and shit happening, and it's not well done.
Depp's lost a bit of his charm too. I'll give you that. He basically acts like a drunkard now.
Yeah. He's just a twat.
He's just phoning it in now, I'd assume.
Yeah. He just waves his fingers around.
You're 5 films deep. I mean, bloody hell, how much can you bring to it?
Yeah.
Mate, he's got scarves to buy, doesn't he? So he'll keep doing them until...
He's got art to purchase.
But Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom were happy for the call.
Oh, so they've got
little parts at the end there, like they sort of show up.
I didn't realise they were back.
Somehow they managed to line them up, because I'm sure they're very busy, but they made a little bit of an appearance. But it's just stupid. I don't know. It's the same exact movie every time. So we've got to find this thing. This person's going to stop us. They're undead. I don't know. I'm just over it. Can't do any more. Narcos season 3.
Yep.
Obviously the whole thing's changed a bit now, because the big bad's gone. They're after the Cali cartel now. Really good though. Still really well done. The main character is Javier Pena, which is the Texan guy, the blonde guy. Obviously went and did Logan and then thought he was too good for this and didn't want to come back. But also it's a true story, so he couldn't. But really good. Yeah, still interesting. I'm sort of halfway through that one. Went to the cinema and watched Kingsman 2.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah, I heard
the villain. They've gone too far with how silly the villain is. And so the set pieces and stuff in it are unreal. Like the first action sequence when it opens up, really cool. And then a lot of the other ones, the way they shoot it, awesome. But the movie's just, it's not there for me. I like the first one, and it had little issues. And this one, it feels like the issues they've made bigger.
Expanded.
Yeah, and just lost their way a little bit. And then the other one was Arrow, season 5 on Netflix. Yeah,
I think
on
so.
Netflix.
How is Arrow going? With Dolph now at the,
Dolph's not in it as much as I thought.
No, he goes in and out.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be gone very early, but they liked what he did, so they brought him. They basically restructured the story to bring him back, so it's closer to the end that he comes in for a few parts.
It was... Yeah, we just binged it. My wife and I just binged it. Just got sucked down a rabbit hole on Saturday pretty much and ended up watching like most of it. But there's one bit where, just without even knowing, just as you're binging through Netflix, they sort of stick together. Inexplicably, you're on like a spaceship out of nowhere, and what it ended up being is they're doing crossovers between.
Yeah, and you don't.
Because you had the same issue last season.
Yeah, well, if they gave us a heads up, I could have watched the other one and gone through. But we were just blown. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And then they do like flashbacks and stuff.
Because
and
by that point, Arrow was the last one. So by that point, there'd been 3 other episodes. Because it was crossing over.
Arrow was the middle one.
Flash.
So there was Flash, then Arrow, then it was supposed to go Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Supergirl was involved too.
Yeah.
So there was 4 of them this time.
Oh, shit. Okay, this only because I looked it up after. I was like, what is going on here?
And it would have been fucking confusing.
It was, man, because like they just in this pod on a spaceship. And
I remember last season you'd start talking about there was this fucking episode in the middle with Vandal Savage or something like that.
That's the only reason I clicked to what was going on. And Riley's like, can you just fast forward? This is obviously just like a one-off thing. And I said, no, what it is this. Yeah, so that was a bit weird. But Arrow, again, more of the same. But I feel like the choreography in that is really good now. Like they figured out all the fight scenes and how to do that.
They got back to guns this time around too. They got back to like Wild Dog bringing guns to the fights, and I reckon that actually worked.
The violence is the one thing that really stands out now. They've gone daredevilish, like where just people are just getting fucking murdered. Like at one point, there's a lady, like a mother of 2, completely innocent bystander, and old mate just throws a ninja star into her neck, and I'm just like, whoa, like my kids were watching. I'm like, I'm not sure about this at the moment. It's very, very full on in that way, but I think that actually adds to it, but it definitely cuts down who should be watching it.
Yeah.
But that was it for me.
All right. I went and saw American Made, which is actually really good.
You are still on cruise.
Oh,
You're still there.
We're actually in Sydney for the grand final.
I actually saw the preview and thought I might check it out.
Yeah, and we just jumped to the cinema because we had the evening to kill.
Yep.
And I actually really enjoyed it. And it's the sort of thing he needs to get back to.
Yep.
He's forgetting what sort of, bloke he is or whatever. He is a good actor, and when he does these parts, he does them well.
Yep.
I'm sick of seeing him kicking the shit out of people. He fell into this hole where he's been doing it for 10 years, and The Mummy was the lowest ebb of that shit.
I just flatly refuse to watch it.
So it's good to see him in something like this, and it's good. It's kind of got a Goodfellas vibe, a Wolf of Wall Street type of vibe. It's kind of funny. It's good. Yeah.
It looked a little bit like Blow. It reminded me of when I was watching
a little bit.
it.
Yeah, there's a bit of Blow in there.
Yeah.
It's good. It's actually really good. I saw Gerald's Game on Netflix, which I fucking loved. I thought it was really, really good. And I remember reading the book back in the 90s and thinking, this is, there was some talk of making it into a movie back then, and I was like, you'd never be able to get this done. Because the whole conceit of it is that she's basically trapped in a bedroom, handcuffed to a bed, and she's starting to lose her mind. And the way they do it is kind of cool,
Sounds delightful.
And another version of her is talking to her, and
Yep.
her dead husband's talking to her, and then there's this other sort of stuff happening in the background. And it works. They do a really good job. It's the same guy who did Hush, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
And he pulls it off really well. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film. So definitely worth checking out. I also saw Happy Death Day. I kind of enjoyed it. Like, it's nothing special, it's nothing new, but it takes the whole Groundhog Day side of things and puts it into sort of a slasher film.
Yep.
And I thought it kind of worked. It was rather enjoyable. It was funny. It had its moments here and there. Nothing to blow your mind, but I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I saw it too, and I was. As you know, when I started texting you, because I was pretty excited, and then I started reading reviews, and some of them were not too kind. So I was thinking, shit, they've missed the mark, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think the whole idea of, for starters, some of the slasher stuff was quite competently done. Like, it was really just, typical slasher element. And then the idea that, we go to a slasher film to see a certain number of, we go and see the kills and the set pieces and stuff, and to have it happening to the same girl was a really good idea.
Yeah.
A really good idea.
And they threw a couple of little late-minute sort of twists. Well, not really twists, but just to sort of in the final sort of 20 minutes where they kind of wrap it all up. They throw a couple of things in there that I was quite surprised by, and I thought that was actually good. So, yeah, definitely worth a look. I think they're talking about a sequel already.
Yeah, I'm happy enough.
Yeah, I'll give it a crack.
It's Blumhouse, mate. So just keep them coming.
But that was it for me.
Nice little one, mate.
Yeah. All right. Now, before we get into Robocop, I'm just going to say the next few films that we cover, the next probably 3, will be films that our listeners sort of put forward to us. And in this case, this was put to us by a long-time listener, Ali, who we've had dealings with in the past. He put through our Alien and the Alien series. Thanks very much for giving us getting in contact with us, Ali, and putting this one out there. And the same will be done for the next couple of episodes, so keep your ear out. But let's take a break, and here's the trailer for 1987's Robocop.
We get the best of both worlds. The fastest reflexes modern technology has to offer, onboard computer-assisted memory, and a lifetime of on-the-street law enforcement programming. It is my great pleasure to present to you Robocop.
This guy's really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
Old Detroit has a cancer. Cancer is crime.
Let the woman go. You are under arrest.
You better back up, pal!
Your move, creep.
What are your prime directives?
You have the right to remain silent You have the right to an attorney.
And it's just shit!
Anything you say may be used against you.
He's a cyborg, you idiot. He recorded every word you said.
You're dead! We killed you!
His memory's admissible as evidence. You're gonna have to kill it. Get in the car, for God's sake!
Robocop, the future of law enforcement.
Robocop from 1987. It's directed by Paul Verhoeven, who did Total Recall and Basic Instinct. Produced by Arnie Schmidt, who did Chain Reaction. And written by Ed Neumeyer, who also did Starship Troopers with Verhoeven. And Michael Miner, who was involved in Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. Even though there was a sequel to that.
Yeah, I think they removed all King's name and everything from both of them.
Well, has anyone here, just going off on a side tangent, has anyone actually read the short story, The Lawnmower Man?
No. Saw the first movie.
I believe it was the height of his excess, wasn't
to
it?
do with virtual reality or anything.
Really?
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's this ridiculous story. He wrote Coke to the Eyeballs. And they turned it into a movie.
I watched the movie a long time ago. It is
It was
very strange.
yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, back to Robocop. Stars Peter Weller as Alex Murphy / Robocop, Nancy Allen as Anne Lewis, Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones, Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Bodiger, and Miguel Ferreira as Bob Morton. Cost $13 million to make and made $53 million at the US box office. Kurtwood Smith claims in the DVD release in the 20th anniversary, when he was the scene where he's actually taken into the precinct by Robocop, it was actually the first scene he'd shot, and he proposed the spitting of the blood and swearing to give the scene a bit more punch. Of course, Verhoeven loved it. According to Kurtwood Smith, it was possibly because he loves his love of blood and violence. That's the reason why he liked it. All right. Gibbo, thoughts on Robocop, mate?
From memory, I'd only seen parts of this previously, like little bits and pieces. For whatever reason, just never really appealed to me when I was a younger person.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know, just a weird guy. I don't know, this is just one that just slipped through the cracks. And obviously I knew it was held in pretty high regard. If you do any sort of looking up about what people think about this, it's super high up there in terms of action movie oeuvre and what people actually, just in terms of movies in general, a lot of people just like it. Watching it, the special effects drag it down, but you've got to give it a pass there. The rest of it, though, I don't know, the movie's a little bit disjointed, but it's really entertaining, and the stuff they're trying to tackle, it obviously is trying to say something, which you've got to give a lot of credit to. I think Weller's really, really good, and I think the design and stuff like that for Robocop is good. There's just a few little bits and pieces that every now and again, a lot of the propaganda stuff where they just sort of insert an ad into the movie, the way they did that was just a little bit jarring. But on the whole, I really liked it. I'd probably go with like a 3.5 out of 5 for this one.
Okay. Darren?
Interesting.
I'm sure I'll be the lowest. I'm sure.
Yeah, look, there's no surprise that I'm gonna go high.
He's taking his pants off, everybody.
But yeah. I mean, for a bit of context, I was watching this movie well before I should have been. Again, Adam probably fucking
such a bad influence.
Adam probably put it into my consciousness, but I grew up with this shit. I mean, I remember in like year 2 or 3, I got Adam to trace me a Robocop and I stuck it on my school book. My mum obviously had no idea what Robocop was, but any of the teachers that were looking at this going, this film's got, copious amounts of violence and all sorts of shit in it. I mean, but yeah, so I go way back with Robocop, playing the game on Commodore 64. I've basically seen every iteration bar the Prime Directives, which I've got there to watch. I've even seen a couple of episodes of the animated show. So fair to say I'm a fan of the character, and it doesn't get better than this one. Basically, the action is great. The acting, as you said, Peter Weller's friggin' fantastic. Some of the supporting people are great. The design of the character is really visually appealing. Like they take a little bit of Judge Dredd with the face and that sort of thing. But the satire, a bit of humour, I just love it.
His
Five.
design, I think.
5 stars.
Look out!
His design, I think, is the thing that holds up the best about the whole movie.
Yeah, it still looks cool.
It doesn't look ridiculous.
I think they're supposed to. They were saying that the whole chest piece kind of looks like the bonnet of a car.
Mm.
Yeah, because Detroit, and the whole
the chest piece reminded me of like a Transformer chest piece.
Yeah, but it really holds up, and I'm also like you. I go back a long way with this film. Saw it in the cinema. Proceeded to tell Mum it didn't have any swearing in it.
No, Mum, it's perfectly fine. Nothing bad in this movie.
Obviously, I was well and truly wrong. But this is right up there with the best of the 80s action films. Right up there with the top ones we talked about. It's just a hair below, probably in the same ballpark for me as Beverly Hills Cop, which is what I had at 4.5, I think. And so this is where I'll sit with Robocop. But it is just, to me, it's like something like the Terminator. It's taking this really interesting, thought-provoking ideas and getting them into a entertaining action sci-fi film.
Yeah.
And that's very, very hard. Like, the fact of the matter is, you can count the number of films ever that have managed to produce that. And Terminator's one of them, and this is another one. I reckon the satire stuff's piss funny.
Yeah.
The humour, although super dark, it works here on numerous occasions. And spot on. I think the acting's excellent, especially from the villains. I think they're both fucking despicable.
Yeah.
But they just do it so well. It's a real top-class film. Real top-class film. So 4.5 for me.
It's funny that you mentioned that the costume kind of looked like the bonnet of a car, because in my Robocop definitive history over there, I came across the piece where they said they never approached him, but there was discussions whether Arnie was the man for the job. And they basically said, nah, because the suit would be fucking huge. Because essentially Arnie is the size of Robocop without the suit on.
Yeah.
So they just said that. We immediately rubbed him out because it was going to be too much. Then another discussion was had about Chuck Norris.
Oh, shit.
And the line in there is something along the lines of, we listened to him and he just didn't have the gravitas.
We listened to him.
Because he was going to have to be just the voice and the chin.
Yeah.
Plus a robot
They
with
essentially
beard.
said he didn't have the gravitas, and then they saw Weller. They said strong chin, presence.
His jawline is top level, actually. But the Arnie thing, like, Weller does so much with so little, like with his face. Like as when they take off their helmet and stuff, like just for him to be able to emote like he does, or even with the helmet on, that's tough. Like
it's outstanding
to do what he does without the rest of his body.
And look, Robocop wasn't going to be able to go, kicked in the balls.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because he did cop one, but he had plating on there.
Arnie would have gone, in a robotic suit. Look, the movie opens fantastically. That little news report, the little clip that they showcase at the start, which I think it's also really cool that they've got Lisa Gibbons, who was she was the host of Entertainment Tonight at the time. So it's kind of like, the whole idea of entertainment and news.
News as
coming together.
entertainment, yeah.
But what I loved about it is it talked about OCP, it talked about the possible strike by police, it showed us Clarence Bodiger and that he was dangerous.
Yep.
And that's in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That gives you everything you need to know about OCP and takeover of the police and the privatisation, plus the big villain.
Yeah, it kicked up all that. It combined the satire and dropped that exposition beautifully. As you said, in 10 minutes we knew OCP had, they were talking about privatising the law enforcement and hospitals and things like that. And as you said, Bodica and that. But then we get, Yamaha making body parts and shit.
New improved.
It's fucking hard.
It looks like a turbo as well. Yeah, it's like, what's this going to do for you?
And it's funny because it's still relevant. You look at the US's kind of hospital insurance stuff, and they've just boiled it down to, can you afford the Yamaha heart or not? Or do you get the fucking busted down kind of...
Yeah.
Do you get the bloody
refurb
heart?
Yeah. So, that stuff was great.
Yeah, I also like the introduction to Lewis. It's only really brief,
Yeah.
but it showcases that she's tough and she's capable. When she takes down the bloke in the foyer, she just fucking flogs him.
It's kind of organic too, because it looks like it's kind of a little bit in the background, and then it sort of just goes
suddenly
to it.
Suddenly it comes to the fore because it's all push and shove, and suddenly it's in. And then she kind of gets thrown off, and she fires up, and then just starts flogging the bloke.
Yeah.
I like that, because you didn't want kind of her to be subordinate to him in a sense that she was, not capable, and that's, we needed a tough sort of partner.
Yeah. Quality roundhouse kick too with Chuck Norris we were talking about. Good quality roundhouse kick.
Yeah, I was still thinking about him there. Just in case Norris, is available.
Maybe they kept him on as a consultant.
Yeah.
Ed 209, the malfunctioning Ed 209 is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's super gruesome.
That scene.
That guy gets
blasted out the window.
And I watched the director's cut. And so there's an added sequence where he's actually laying on the model, getting blasted continuously again.
Yeah. That scene.
Oh, that's the one I saw then. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah, he just keeps ploughing him.
That scene just blew me away as a kid. Like watching that for the first time, I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
I definitely shouldn't be here.
But as you said, like you mentioned that the effects aren't great, but for that one, I think they're all right. I mean, the clunkiness of the stop motion is there, but it still looks okay. Like it actually adds to 209, that sort of clunky kind of
because it's
movement.
supposed to be kind of half-assed. The way they have it when they talk about Dick Jones at the start in the news report, and when he's walking into the room at the start of that, when he's saying, it just comes across that he's kind of whipped this together fast.
Yeah.
Like, this is a piece of shit we pulled out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's no good. And
But
I actually think the stop motion works all right for the most part throughout the film.
Yeah, well, for Ed 209 especially, I thought the stop motion wasn't a bad decision because you can cop that clunkiness with the movement of the robot. But, I mean, the scene then goes on to continue. Like, we already have queries about OCP's morals, but this scene just fucking, just solidifies everything we think about him when the bloke is just a fucking mess on the carpet and Dick Jones and that and there go, we're on a, they're basically talking about a timeline. And we need to get this thing out and all this sort of stuff.
I also love the fact that you hear someone yell out, "Someone call a paramedic!"
I think it's a bit late.
Instead of mopping bucket, don't worry about the paramedic.
He's a ball of mints on the floor. I don't think his CPR is going to help.
That's right. He just comes up to the old man and goes, "It's just a glitch, mate."
A small glitch.
Call Herbert West, mate.
Look at Almo's face though when he drops the gun and then the Ed 209's put it down. He's like, I have put it down. Like you see the look on his face. He's like, oh fuck, this is not good.
And I love too when he runs near someone else.
Yeah.
And they basically just fucking throw him back. And they're like, get him out of here. But it also really, really quickly establishes the Jones and Morton plot
dynamic,
as well.
that they don't get along, or he's kind of cutting his grass.
Yeah, he's cutting his grass, and the young high flyers trying to take out the dead wood of the company or so he
and
sees.
It puts Morton in the crosshairs of Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just tell that Jones has got the shits the moment he sort of steps in and goes, I've got this Robocop program. And it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And you just see, Jones tries to reintroduce himself into the conversation. He gets
hang on, mate. We're going to try this one out. And then when they have the scene in the toilet too, that's another one. It's just
Brilliant.
Old mate sort of sees him coming out, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And everyone zips up, pisses on himself.
I got a meeting. Those are the big stain and fish.
Needed another 2 shakes. Didn't quite get him in.
Golden.
But it's a really good scene. Coming back to the practical effects, the practical effects are still fantastic. I still think the suit from this one is better than the one they produced for the remake.
Easy, way better.
And I just love the gun comes out of his leg and all that sort of stuff. It's still really cool.
Even the kind of when they take the mask off and he's got that kind of bulbous sort of head, you can tell it's a bit bigger to kind of accommodate the effects. But it also sort of works too because it kind of emphasises his fucking blank looks,
expression because he's got no hair, he's got no eyebrows,
and then the expression when, as you said, he does a lot with a little. It kind of emphasises that you're looking straight at his face, and you get these little kind of nuances that he put in there.
I mean, the fact that Verhoeven and co looking to fuck the suit up royally beforehand. They wanted to remove this, remove that, and they almost blew it. It's just a phenomenal piece of work.
Was that what he was talking about in the doco? When he was talking about
we wanted to shave a bit of this off
Japanese
here.
anime? Yeah, of course we fucked it up completely.
But I actually think the stop motion, because the bottom line is they had nothing else. You couldn't go to the computers.
And at the end of the day, stop motion is still something in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So to me, it still looks better than shit CGI.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather watch stop motion of the quality of this than, the Scorpion King CGI. Like, it's still something that's being filmed in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Well, even a movie from I'm pretty sure it was last year, Gods of Egypt, huge budget, heaps of CGI and stuff, and it's terrible in it. Like, not a sort of thing you need to get away with practical effects because they're giant like cobras and stuff like that. But that goes to your point though. Like, sometimes good CGI just isn't always the answer.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to obviously the first Terminator movie, what they did with the with the exoskeletons, like the endoskeletons, whatever they are. It's the same sort of thing. But the worst thing for me is it reminded me a little bit of Gumby, and that's not good. Gumby or Pingu, I was getting a lot of the time, and a lot of the time, obviously, they're doing it with smaller models.
I would like to see Ed 209 splatter Pingu across the room.
But they're sort of doing it with smaller models and then green screening them in the background. And I think that's where it really stood out. It's not so much how it moves, it's the fact that everything around it, you could tell, was distorted because of that. They'd have to place it in the scene.
It was a little shaky a couple of times when it was projected on.
They weren't even using green screen.
It's from a long time ago, you can't judge them for that. It just.
But as far as putting that stuff in camera, it's still all right to me. Like, as you pointed out, I'd rather see that. It's ingenuity and it's effort. And it's not just some pulp that they've just ripped out where you stand in front of a green screen, there's a guy holding a
tennis ball.
On.
Yeah.
I just think that this is still impressive. It's still impressive today. The acting's pretty good all round. As you said, Peter Weller's excellent. I think Ronnie Cox and Kurtwood Smith are excellent.
Well, I'd say the casting is actually really good too.
And then you get down to people like Nancy Allen and Miguel Ferrer. They all do their job. And
he was actually excellent too, Miguel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I thought he was perfectly cast.
Part slimy, part not.
He was
quite interesting.
He was coming in for like a thug role or something.
Yeah.
He said basically to that point, that's what I was being cast as. Like, and he just basically put his hand up to read for this one and got it.
Even all of Clarence's crew are all perfectly cast. The scumbag. I have one exception to mention later on, but you're right. Yeah, I what's his name? Emil. He's a very good actor. They all fit the look and the scummy.
Bodic is excellent because he doesn't look like a menacing guy.
Yeah.
But then he comes on screen and delivers a few of those lines, and you're kind of like, fuck yeah, you can buy him that he's running the shit in town.
You can tell he's the brains of the operation though, because he looks like Megamind. He's like 76% forehead.
Yeah, he's a fair old.
He does. A little bit of gigantism going on there.
Yeah.
He's been drinking the steroids a bit too much, and it's gone all to his head.
Him and that was a Ken Griffey.
Yeah.
The death of Murphy is very nasty.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
Still, the only one that's a little bit unconvincing is when his hand gets blown off.
Yeah. Because his arm gets about 6 inches longer to hide something.
You can tell when it's on the ground.
Yeah.
It doesn't look very convincing.
It's funny too though, because you're watching it and like we've watched how many violent movies now, you do get desensitized to it to an extent. But then I go back and watch something like this that I've seen numerous times, and it still gets me every time where he fucking gets his arm blown away and then they show his face and he's kind of there just going, and you're like, that's a bit confronting. Can you just look at the bleeding arm or something?
Yeah.
Like it's really, it's a bit.
And for those guys to do what they do to him too, like you've got to be pretty. That's what, again, another commentary on how bad those guys are.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be messed up to do what they do to that dude.
Exactly.
He was just doing his job. Like all they had to do was disable him and move away, But they just take heaps of pleasure in just torturing him,
And by extension, that basically goes to the point of how fucked up the sea is, that you constantly see all these criminals and that, but as you find a crew of guys that are all happy to do that, you're like, okay, so things have gone downhill in society. You get that just from that side.
It raises that level of your dislike for them.
Yeah.
And which is, you're supposed to when Robocop becomes Robocop.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really, really well directed. And considering this was his first Hollywood film, I think he does an absolutely phenomenal job, and maybe it's that European sensibility and his love of violence. You know, like maybe an American director would have been more likely to perhaps pull back on some of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's
But
also
he seems to just blast right into it.
Yeah, and there's also the theory of, you know, that an American director wouldn't have the same view of his American issues that they were commenting on.
Yeah.
Whereas someone from
Yeah, they
the
wouldn't
outside,
go there because they're too patriotic and they don't want to admit a lot of their shit.
someone from the outside, as you said, with those sort of sensibilities on
Yeah,
top
he
of
kind
it,
of looked at it the
looked
right
at it
way.
differently,
and
yeah.
That's why that scathing sort of satire comes across well.
Yep.
I really love the sequence of Murphy dying. It's his POV looking up at the doctors trying to save him. Then it shifts to Robocop being built.
Yeah.
But it's the same point of view.
Yep.
And they show all of that. Like, his entire building process is all from that point of view.
Yeah, process,
I think it's really, really cool. And I love when he tests his hand strength.
Yeah.
And Morton just looks at him in the face and goes, "You're going to be one bad motherfucker."
Yeah.
And then he just walks on.
Well, that was outstanding. The POV all the way through was used really well. But that sequence in particular, again, it was just a really good way of, as you said, we're showing him getting built, but you're also showing time passing. You get that New Year's Eve party or whatever, and so all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, we think that there's been a fair portion of time between that and this, but yeah, the POV's used quite well at times to kind of minimise how much Robocop is on screen at certain points, and maybe kind of lessen the burden on Peter Weller, or not show when particular movements weren't kind of up to scratch because the suit restricted it. So they used the POV through the whole movie really well to
I'll tell you what I thought
cover
was
over that a
also
little bit.
still pretty good too. You know how they showed him some of the things he could do. So the directives would come up on his hub.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he'd have the voice recorder.
Yep.
He'd have the picture-in-picture and the recording, the tracking.
Yep.
I thought that shit was still, seemed legit.
Seemed really good,
Seemed legit.
It wasn't jarring. Like, it wasn't like, oh,
It's
this
not
looks
like, this
shit.
looks like a bloody, Commodore 64 or something like that. It seemed all legitimate.
Yeah, the only thing that aged it was the black with the green, that sort of thing, the old monitor colours.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it didn't jump out and going, oh, geez, that looks a bit old.
It doesn't date it.
No,
and even
not at
that's
all.
got its own sort of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into part 2, but there was bits in there that kind of showed to me, shit, that the old black on green has its own kind of aesthetic that's kind of appealing to look at as well. So, yeah.
One of my favourite laugh of the entire movie is in the police foyer. When Robocop first turns up, there's a drunk standing at the front, and he's going, "I'm a repeat offender. I repeat, I will offend again."
I'm not sure what he was going for. Like, is he trying to just get locked up again? Like, maybe life's better in jail? I don't know.
It's
Might be
just so
institutional.
random. Like, it just sort of cuts in and here's this guy rambling at the front. Then he sees Robocop and he's like, "Oh, shit."
That was a pretty good line.
I also really dug his first night on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
three
scenes were
things
outstanding.
he takes out.
Yeah.
Look, he does more damage to the liquor store than the bloke holding the place up.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool, especially that sequence where he actually opens the doors.
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
got all that light shining off the doors and he's sort of standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those scenes are great. And it kind of, in a couple of scenes, they show him doing something like bending the gun, and they show him shooting
Pulling the guy through the wall.
pulling through the wall, shooting through the dress, like targeting the guy so he hits the guy, not the lady. And it's like, okay, so you've demonstrated his proficiency very swiftly. But not only that, you've got that score underneath. Classic score for me, underrated, one of the better movie themes, and it's also got starts introducing a couple of those classic lines like the "thank you for your cooperation" and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That scene was
The Dead or Alive, You're Coming With
excellent.
Me is the other good one.
Excellent scene.
What does he say to her? "You have suffered a traumatic."
Yeah.
I will call the rape.
Rape crisis centre.
Yeah. Oh, that's very thoughtful of you, mate. But the shooting through of the dress scene, when I was watching that, because I only just listened to the Speed podcast that Bill Simmons and those guys did on the rewatchables, it just reminded me of the what do you do in this situation? And he's like, shoot the hostage.
Yeah.
And when he did it, I'm like, oh, jeez, he shot her. But he doesn't. He's shooting through between the legs. Got old mate in the jats.
But yeah,
that was also confronting where that guy hits the deck on his knees. It was one of those moments where you're just like, ooh.
Yeah. Like when you think, for whatever reason, someone getting shot in the kneecap or in the foot seems worse than getting shot in the chest. I don't know why. And obviously the nuts, and not a good one.
Crackers.
It's funny though because there's also a little touch of that whole sequence that someone mentioned in an article I was reading that I'd never really thought of, but police brutality. The whole idea of police brutality, because Robocop's more brutal than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Like, he just dishes out violence begets violence.
Yeah.
And that's
so
you can see
on police brutality.
You can see a bit of the Judge Dredd influence there, where he's basically judge, jury, executioner, just fucking taking out whoever he pleases, and
there's no thought process,
cleaning up the streets.
There's no sort of I must arrest you.
Yeah.
Basically, I just either kill you or I do whatever I have to do to stop you.
But at some point that has to get through to the rest of the crime world to think, geez, we can't really mess with this guy because he doesn't give any fucks. He's just going to destroy it.
And that kind of comes across later when he takes out the cocaine area and then just throws Bodyguard through the windows.
Yeah.
And Bodyguard's here going, you can't hurt me or whatever, you're a cop, and he's just, just tossing him around.
And as you said, that was kind of heightened. He's yelling that shit out like he thinks he has some sort of protection because it's a police officer and he has limits. But as you said too, it's heightened because he's such a hard ass for the rest of the other parts of the movie. You're like, shit, he's just getting treated like a rag doll now.
I know you said that the ads and stuff are kind of jarring. I loved it. Especially Newcomb. The guy goes, Pakistan's threatening my border. No more military aid.
I just think if it was on a screen in the background, it would have been all right. It's just the fact that it's what you're watching. It's like you're watching an ad in the movie. Like,
I guess it's trying
I dug that.
It's trying to get certain things
because they always placed it as the lead into the media break, so it kind of fit sort of well.
Yeah.
My favourite was the SUX 6000.
6,000 SUX.
Who came up with that acronym? That's what I want to know. Like,
it's funny.
And there's actually a couple of better ones in the sequel. Surprisingly,
yeah,
the sequel hasn't got a lot going for it, but
no,
the ads, some of the adverts are bloody hilarious. I really like all the yuppie stuff at OCP. Once you hit it big with a Robocop, you've suddenly got the keys to the
here's the lounge,
executive toilet.
They call it a lounge, and they walk in there and there's urinals everywhere. It's like, do we get this odor as well while we're trying to have lunch? I don't know. Maybe they went through the lounge into like the lounge toilet, maybe, but there's no scene showing that. So I was like, here's the lounge. Look at how nice.
That's actually Ronnie Cox's best scene too.
Yeah,
because he's super menacing. Except for the hair. I'm not sure about the hair.
Yeah, the holding. Yeah, he's going to make out with him at one point.
He touches the side of his hair like that, and I'm thinking,
where's this going, Ronald?
I got a dislike that underlines the menace, but you're right. He was really good there.
He starts going, I fucking millions of dollars. Who cared if it worked or not?
Yeah.
Well, he had a point. Like, business-wise, they had it sold. It was done. And then all the issues with it would have made him more money.
Yeah.
So from the corporate side of things, he was probably right. But also a very wrong person, obviously.
I just think that was one of his best sequences. And there's actually probably the one where he actually meets Robocop, when Robocop tries to take him in. That's another good one, because he comes across as a real smarmy bastard too. Like, you should put me in handcuffs.
Take me
in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And then he starts giving him the drum, about what is Directive 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually really like the way they intersect too. That Clarence and Dick Jones sort of, because up until that point you could have missed it. You know, you can see them as sort of two very separate things. But then they explicitly say, these fucking boardroom blokes are crims, and they cross them over, and then. But that scene is fucking outstanding. Like Kurtwood Smith says nothing but bitches leave, and it's pure menace for the whole scene. Pulling the pin with his mouth, and then. Putting it down
at enough distance because he's already been shot. He can't just
get to the table.
Away.
Just walking away, and then as you said, Dick Jones does all the talking on the screen. It's fucking outstanding. It's really good scene. Really good. Bitches leave.
I really like the idea of the repressed memories too. Murphy's still got his.
Yeah.
And they actually drive the second half of the film because he has the repressed memory and the dream about being shot, and he sees them all, and then he goes in and checks and
hacks it. Yep.
That's right. Emil, the sequence with Emil and the explosion at the petrol station, that sort of kicks it all off again because he then starts going, I know you. We killed you.
Yeah.
And I really like that because then it just sets everything in motion to ramp up towards the end. Just quietly though, the service station, fuck, it explodes.
Yeah.
No, it destroys a city block.
Yes, that was quite a nasty explosion. I actually liked that Robocop was also using CDs, and that, you know, even though they were projecting the future, not even they thought mini discs were going to come in and be a success. You know, still just me.
Mini discs.
I
loaded up.
I got a mini disc player. I still got it.
Mate, we bought a lot of mini disc stock when we were working at Better Electrical. These things are the best. You can delete and just cover things. You can put this on there.
It's like a CD and a cassette all in one.
Yeah. And you can put 8 songs on it. It's brilliant.
I only have to charge this thing overnight and I can listen to it for 5 minutes. It's fucking brilliant.
Mini discs. God bless them. They went the way of Laserdisc, HD, DVD, all these things that were the next big thing.
Every time I look at my mini disc, I think of that old Pepsi ad where they've got those people doing like an archaeological dig and they find a can of Coke and they're like, what's this? That's what they're going to do with mini disc.
What's this? HD DVD didn't even get a foothold. It was out the door so fast.
Everybody knows as soon as porn picks one, that's the one that succeeds. And Blu-ray was it.
Same with video. It's the same with DVD and Blu-ray.
Porn runs the world, mate. Everyone knows it.
They chose it, yeah. I like the little ticks that give away that Robocop is Murphy.
Yeah.
Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me. Those sorts of things.
Yeah.
All set somebody off to knowing that it's Murphy. You know, like Lewis realises it's Murphy from the gun.
Skin. Yeah.
Emil realises it's Murphy from the comment Dead or Alive. So I just like those simple, effective ways of pushing the story forward, using those little things, and I liked it.
Yep.
Shootout at the cocaine factory. Highlight of the film for me. When he just boots the door down. I love the way he just targets everyone before the shooting's even started. He's just going beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't shoot for like 10 seconds. He's just getting shot and then he just starts going and just starts, behind the backs and all this sort of. And then follows it up with that really good bit with Bottega where he just throws him around.
Yeah.
Treats him like crap. And is that where he actually says, "You can't kill me" or something like that? It's about OCP.
Yeah, that's where he sort of puts out that Dick Jones, blah blah blah.
Dick Jones.
Yeah, because then he gets mad.
Dick Jones.
That's why he gets mad at him later on because he's like, "You recorded all of that shit." And
It's really good way of sort of getting. That's where you get told that they're together and then they're connected.
Yep.
The arrest of Dick Jones throws in the 4th directive, which you already knew was there because it comes up really briefly when he's sort of brought out in front of everyone to show off.
Yep.
It says the 3 directives and then it just says, for a second they all go away and then you just see directive 4.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it just sort of flashes for a second. And then obviously it comes to 4 here. And again, I think it's a really good sequence with Ronnie Cox. His acting in this is excellent.
Yeah.
And then we bring out the Ed 209 again.
They didn't learn.
I do like when it's trying to find its footing down the stairs.
Yeah. That stairs a bit small. That actually made me laugh. I'm a beetle stuck on my back.
That was really good, actually.
All these things, their one big flaw is stairs. I was like, didn't think they'd ever have to deal with stairs, guys. Interesting.
Yeah, you're putting these on the streets to chase down criminals in all sorts of terrain.
Go up a gutter. And not sure about this, guys. Retreat.
The final battle in the smelting plant is really good. It's a little bit short though. It doesn't really take long to take those guys out.
To the point.
It's to the point.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It actually only lasts for about 5 minutes, I think, if you broke it all down.
But I mean, it's to the point. Emil getting cleaned up is fucking insane.
He explodes on the windshield.
And again, I love like when he first comes stumbling out and that other bloke sees him, he's just like, shit,
Get away from me!
Yeah, he says, don't touch me.
But what would you say? Like, the bloke's just melting. Like,
I'll just shoot the
yeah. Well, that's just got to be. There's a mercy killing at that point.
He has to. He's Korsky.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
But when they hit him, it's like a water bomb filled with like petroleum jelly. It's just squish, you know. Straight up the windscreen, hit the wipers, he's gone.
It's like a watermelon. It just sort of goes. Oh.
Yeah.
It's quite nasty. Very effective though.
I also loved him killing Clarence with the spike.
Yeah, and
I'd
then
actually forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the same one he used for the hacking, yeah.
You know, like he'd used it once. They never really sort of shoved it down your throat that he had it. He only ever used it once, and then he just, of course, goes, bam.
Speaking of taking out a city block too, I love when the bloke's celebrating in the little crane booth.
And she hits him with the rifle.
It just destroys him. The over the top nature of it is just perfect because, as you said, everything's over. The cops, like Robocop. Yeah, nailed it.
One of my probably final like is I just love it when Robocop takes out the Ed 209 out the front of the building, and then it just shows him walking in, and then the Ed 209's legs come stumbling in. And they just go, you just see its foot go.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. That whole from that point on, the ending is just perfect.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You're fired.
Like you've got,
stuff. It really works. Like you just. Again, you don't even think about it. Like, because you're thinking Directive 4, obviously can't kill him. And then when he says you're fired, it just goes...
Yeah. We're all clear.
Out the window, just, perfect sort of... It was, again, short and sharp, but it did everything that you wanted.
Yeah,
when he goes out the window, another giggle, but not deliberate, he goes out the window and his arms are super long. Did you notice?
It looks terrible. His arms are...
Absolutely.
That's not a green screen thing. I don't know what they've done there, but his arms are like... Yeah,
segueing. That was definitely one of my dislikes. It looks atrocious.
I haven't got.
It doesn't look like Dick Jones for starters.
No.
Then it's got the head. It's got the arms they're 2 times as long as.
It's like a Slender Man.
Yeah, I just don't know. It must be just like a distortion thing when they did the green screen or something. Because
it's. I mean, I think you'll find that's all been done with.
I thought it was a dummy. Was it a dummy?
It must be a dummy, but they got it wrong.
Because again, I don't know how much. I don't even think green screen's really available then. So I think what it was either a matte painting with a dummy or something of that nature. But I don't even think it's a dummy because it drops so directly, like straight down and does not move.
I just thought it does move. That's why I thought it might have been a dummy. I thought like I can't remember. I'd have to watch it again, but I thought something moved, whether it was the head or the...
maybe, but I don't know. It
looks dreadful.
Really, it is... awful.
It's the standout bad special effect in
really,
the whole movie,
really bad.
for sure.
One of my probably major dislikes, the relationship between Lewis and Murphy is just, it's not even built.
No.
I mean, they've been on the road together for fucking an hour.
Yeah.
And then the man's in pieces.
Yeah.
Like, what? He's just meat.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
And she watches it happen.
Yeah, she watches it happen. I mean, she'd be talking to a psychologist immediately.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes no reason why she would help him.
Yeah, I'd go to bat for him. No.
Like, I know they were partners, but again, they weren't partners for years.
No.
It was just... In a way, they could have got around that by saying they'd been partners for years and it wasn't Murphy's first day on the job.
Yeah.
Because that was really irrelevant.
Yeah, there was no reason for that to be the case.
Reason for any of that.
No, that was exactly what I had, mate. The no relationship established with partner thing. It is weird because then when she sees him in the hallway, it's like, oh, that's got to be Murphy, that guy I saw once. Like,
yeah.
Why?
I saw him
because
once
he's
for 3 hours.
Yeah. When she goes back and she's asking the question, why is she in trouble? All she said is...
It's because they're saying that he's not a human being. He's not a person. He's a product. That's what he said.
Yeah, but when the guy starts screaming, what did you say? And all that sort of shit, she just...
What did he think she said?
But because I think that what they were thinking was that she'd said something to him that had got him...
I'd be saying, listen, mate, he walked down the hallway before I fucking saw him.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, that was a slight issue.
It just sort of didn't make much sense because they didn't really expand on it anyway.
Yeah.
So we didn't really know much about it. And even by the end of it, we didn't know anything more about it. You know, they hadn't even forged a relationship between him and her when he was a robot.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bit of a didn't really work. I just didn't feel anything to it. Because
Yeah.
I just thought, why would she even bother helping the guy?
Yeah.
Hey, she'd be lying, after seeing Murphy get blasted, she'd be in the corner in the fetal position.
Yeah. No thanks. I'm out.
Yeah, she's hardly going to be ready for action.
But talking about Murphy getting blasted, and you mentioned this earlier with old mate in the boardroom, and they call him the paramedics. They try and revive Murphy. What the fuck? He's been shot in the head. His whole body is riddled with bullets, and they're trying to give him the old
the paddles.
No, that's not going to pan out, guys. I don't know if that was just something they had to go through to tick all the boxes. So we tried.
Yeah.
The bloke's he's toast.
I think that was what they were trying to say, where he just sort of says, "I shot him again, and then we'll call it."
Yeah.
But yeah,
it does seem strange, though.
Wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like a meal.
Yeah.
Now, that toxic waste would have just killed him. Like, he's not coming out of there looking like fucking...
His fingers like melted candles.
He's not coming out looking like John Bon Jovi's
Jesus.
But he comes bubbling out going, "Help me." He would have A, drowned, B, that's toxic waste.
Yeah.
He would have just been...
Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah.
Not happening, mate. Help yourself. I had... you mentioned that the crew were really good, and I agree.
You can't have any dislikes, Cox. You gave it 5.
I know.
Who was your problem?
The guy with the hyena laugh was just too much.
The black guy?
Just too much.
He's over the top.
Way over the top.
Yeah.
And it kind of just, every time something was happening, I'd just get that laugh in the background. I'd be like...
You know what he reminded me of?
Taking me out of it.
Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of that, just the over the top, and obviously they're both black. That's not the reason. They're very similar characters.
Yeah,
well, they are. It's
super cocky.
Because he had a similar laugh. I'd
Yeah.
forgotten all about that, but in Demolition Man, he does a bit of that.
As soon as he did it, man, that's what he reminded me of.
Yeah, it was just too much, and it's kind of goes all the way through.
Yeah.
Like when he rocks up with his stolen car and he's laughing, and then
And the stuff he laughs at isn't
he's
funny.
like, "Oh man, it's
Yeah.
like, this is just too much."
Yeah.
Like, it's
He could
way
have
over the
been...
top.
That whole character probably could have been shit. He could have been non-verbal.
Well, he could have. He could have had.
He was just a thug. I mean,
he could have had the lines, and Verhoeven could have just said, "Do it without the laugh," or something like that.
Yeah, or take it down 20 notches.
Yeah.
I just remembered another line.
Well, even with the laugh would have been fine because it did highlight that these guys were fucking maniacs.
Yeah, because he's laughing when they're shooting people.
But he turned into a Looney Tune every time I heard him. It
Yeah.
was just, it's like, I can't buy that.
Yeah, he didn't have any menace. He was just annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I remember the like that I forgot when he comes into the cocaine factory and he just goes, "Come quietly or there will be trouble," and the bloke just cocks the shotgun and goes, "Fuck you!"
Yeah. Classic, just, 2 words, that's all we need. Gets the message across.
Any other dislikes?
Yeah, I've got quite a few, but they're more, some of them are just kind of funny little things that I noticed. Old mate hiding his safe under the beer cans.
Yeah, not
Mate,
smart.
The only thing I'm walking into that shop for is beer. Like, get me a card.
Give me a card.
What's that?
Sorry, I've exposed your safe.
Dick Jones, I totally agree with you in the bathroom when he's kind of laying out that you're in some shit to Miguel Ferrer. The only thing that undermined him was when he was like, talking about, we used to, talk about the old man. And then he goes, call him names. Iron butt, boner. Surely you can do a little better. If I find out someone's been talking behind my back and they've called me iron butt, I'm thinking, could be worse.
Yeah, if someone's calling me boner, I'm probably just going,
You've got me right now.
Fair cop.
Yeah, currently.
60% of the time you're on the money, so that's fair.
Oh, the bloke when he gets Clarence's mate in the club.
Yeah.
And he goes for the kick to the testicles. What makes you think that a cyborg has fucking sensitive reproductive organs, mate? And even if you see his face and you think there's a human under there somewhere, I'm looking at the crotch and I'm saying that doesn't pass the eye test. That's aluminium at worst. I'm gonna hurt my foot here. But when I found out that the role could have been Arnie too, I watched that scene and I just laughed. I was like, that would have been another movie that Arnie would have been kicked in the nuts, but we wouldn't have got the
He still would have thrown it in.
He probably would have thrown it there somewhere.
He would have given us the and then he'd be just joking, and then he'd grab him and do something to him.
Something stupid like that. I think that was it. I can't go. I had it. I was going to expand on the bloke with the laugh when he was in the warehouse, but I think I've given him a kicking enough. That was kind of my only real dislike about that warehouse stuff. Was that again? He was just
he gets
over
knocked
the top.
off the top, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets knocked off the top, and again, he sounds like a fucking Looney Tune. He's squealing or something.
Yeah.
It was too much for me. But that was it for me. That was my dislikes. And as I said, most of them were just little giggles. That
Nothing else for me. No, we covered most of it. The other things I had was the stop motion issues and the ads, but we covered them well and truly. So
yeah,
all
we sort of howled you down on those ones, didn't we?
that's fine.
We just ground it down. Yeah.
Like I said, you guys, the internet agrees with you. I'm not doubting that whatsoever. Yeah, it's just
you're right. There was stop motion issues, but
slight issues. Yeah.
Bottom line,
enough.
this is like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man for you guys. You know, the nostalgia takes it up a few notches.
Yes. Okay.
That's what you want to go. That's Robocop. Once again, thanks to Ali for suggesting it. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at thrillme@ionet.net.au. Like us on Facebook, Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We were going to do 1408, the Stephen King film, next episode, but on Facebook we received a message from one of our listeners, Jehovah. He mentioned Robocop 2. We should do Robocop 2 as well. Obviously, everybody was on board.
Oh, yeah, it didn't take long to bring us around.
Next episode, Robocop 2.
Yep.
But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at ionet.net.au.